Hey everybody, Sintax77 back with you, and on the table before us today, the Fenix LD12 flashlight. This is an LED everyday carry flashlight with a single AA power source. Now, I've been carrying this myself for about 4 going on 5 months now, trying to put it through its paces in a variety of conditions. Those conditions being backpacking, camping, a little bit of hunting, and of course, everyday carry, EDC, is the primary function of this light, and I have been doing that. Both in casual wear throughout the day, as well as at work in some business attire, which obviously wouldn't be the primary design feature of this light, but wanted to give it a run in all kinds of conditions. I will also quickly and concisely go through all of the features and specs on this light, try to give you an idea of what it's all about. You can make a decision on whether or not it's the right light for you. So first things first, as I touched on, single AA system. Now, I have in the past had AAA systems, which are obviously, due to the nature of that battery size, much thinner, which has its pluses and minuses. So this is another light I carry, and I was used to this prior. Now, when I first got this, you'll notice instantly AA profile is going to be shorter, but wider. So right off the bat, for slipping into breast pocket, back pocket on some nicer work clothes, something like that, this form factor is not going to blend in quite so smoothly, but the big advantage of this compared to something thinner like a traditional pen light, which obviously is the shape of a pen, probably didn't have to tell you that, is grip. So right off the bat, let me tell you, when it comes to grip, this thing has got it. Due to the extra diameter compared to a thinner pen light, you can really get a nice grip on it, and also, let's focus on it, that nice checkering that is all over this thing. And it really does make a difference, especially in wet conditions out there backpacking and whatnot, or even just going through some rain on the way to the store. You pull this thing out, you're not going to lose your grip on it, which is very nice. Continuing on with subject of all things grippy, you got this clip on here for pocket carry. It's a pretty decent, not complete deep pocket carry, but up to right about there. Carries well in a back or front pocket. I usually carry it in my back pocket on the weak side, just a preference, but this clip is strong. Much stronger than other items I have for EDC that have clips on them. I do not worry at all throughout the day about losing this light. The only downside to such a strong clip is it's not quite as quick to deploy and re-put in your pocket. That may sound like a little bit of a nitpicky thing, but if you have, once again for reference, something else like this, this pocket clip is not nearly as strong. It's got a smoother profile to it. It slips in and out of a pair of dress pants really quickly. The downside is this light I have lost before. Yeah, this is not the original one. I've bought this twice. This light, the Fenix LD12, not lost, and I don't believe I will unless I sit it on a rock and walk away or something. But in terms of slipping out of my pocket, not worried about it. Also, going back to that checkering, you've got the nice tight clip against the checkering, makes for an excellent grip on clothing, straps on your backpacking gear or hunting pack, things of that nature. So form factor, it is great for that. All right, other stats on this. Well, first let's go through functions. It's got 4 different light brightnesses. All right, right now it is on mid or medium. It also has low, high, and turbo. So you got low, mid, high, turbo. And they range between 3 and 125 lumens. To switch modes, you got this button right on the side here. You do not have to cycle through and do a little tap dance with this button on the end. Hit this button on the side and you'll cycle your modes. So you turn it on. Right now it's on mid, like I said. We hit the little button. We're going to go to high, turbo. Now I'm on low. I'll go back to mid. Nice thing about the dedicated light function button, it has a memory. So some lights, you turn it on, you always have to cycle through to get to your preferred lighting spot, setting I should say. This one, it will remember what your preference is and now I turn it on, it's always on mid. Maybe that's not enough. I want it on high. Every time I turn it on and off, it's always on high. Maybe you want to conserve battery power, you're in a low light condition. Now, because of your preference, it's always on low. That seems like a simple thing, and it didn't really stand out as something earth-shattering to me when I first bought this, but I will tell you after months of use that when I switch back to a system where I have to click around and cycle through, you really begin to miss it and appreciate it. So having that memory, I think, is really cool. Now, low is 3 lumens. It's going to burn for 100 hours. That's pretty incredible, I think, off of one AA battery. Mid is going to be 30 lumens. That's pretty decent light from what I've seen in my usage, and you're going to get 10 hours, 15 minutes out of that. High, 65. It's about the highest I usually use on this light. 65 lumens on high for 4 hours, 45 minutes. And then you got your turbo, which almost doubles all the way up to 125 lumens. And you still get 2 hours and 20 minutes out of that. So that's pretty cool for that many lumens out of a single AA. For most indoor conditions, honestly, I would suggest don't even bother with the turbo. You're not going to see much difference between turbo and high unless you're outdoors. So if you're outdoors trying to get some extra reach, really see those mountaintops or see out in front of you across the valley, then yeah, the turbo is going to be worth it. Otherwise, I'd say high is about as high you want to go for most applications without burning that battery out. In terms of burn times, I will admit I have not actually tried running this thing out with a stopwatch on it, but in Fenix's defense, or just a little attesting to their track record, I have one of their headlamps as well that I did do a full run on, and I timed it, and I burnt that battery totally out on a particular setting, and it matched up pretty well with what they claim that the burn time would be. It actually did a little bit better. So I would say that those burn times I gave you are probably pretty accurate based on whatever testing it is they do to come up with those numbers. Speaking of burn times and batteries, let's talk about batteries really quick. When you get your paperwork for this, you will notice a little chart. It tells you different types of batteries you can and can't use. Nickel metal hydride is their preferred battery. Okay, so all those stats I gave you would be based on that type of battery. I have not actually ever used that type of battery in this. I'm using just regular old alkaline batteries. Not heavy duty, but alkaline batteries, and those are giving me similar stats, burn times, etc. in these Fenix products. And you could also use non-rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. That would be like your Energizer Ultimate Lithium, things like that. The only battery they tell you do not use would be a rechargeable lithium-ion. So that's batteries. Length of throw is listed as 87 meters. Now, I didn't have really a scientific way of testing that when I was out in the woods sleeping overnight, but I can say that sounds about right. I'd say 3/4, a little over 3/4 of a football field is definitely pretty accurate for this. I'd say even, reaching out to 100 yards wouldn't have surprised me if they said that, so I will take that as accurate. Let's talk about just light throw and quality overall. No artifacts if you're into that sort of thing. But, you might think you're not, but once you get a nice light, you will be when you see a light that does have a bunch of artifacts in it. This does not. It has a little hot spot in the center, as you can see, and then in the dark has a very nice clean beam. There's no artifacts or junk in there at all. You just get your hot spot and a nice wide clean circle. Nice solid light. I mean, that's the other thing with the AA light that has a little bit wider reflector in there. It throws a nice solid cone of light. So that 125 lumens when you have it on turbo out in the woods or wherever really throws a nice solid strong beam. In fact, I even have lights that are rated at 160 lumens, and I don't see a huge difference between the 125 beam on this. So it is a nice good throw on this light, I would say. Plenty adequate for most tasks in the woods or around the house, looking under a desk for those lost keys. Now, beyond normal quote-unquote lighting modes, you also get a strobe and an SOS mode. Now, how do you get to these? Well, you turn the light on first, and you hold down the light selector button. So I'll hold this down for a couple, oh, there it goes. Now I am strobing. It's a nice 125 lumen, that's full brightness strobe. You can notice that it is randomizing, which from pointing it at my own wall and blinding myself, I can tell you is actually much more disorienting than regular strobe that just does the same exact thing constantly. It is quite disorienting. Not something that you would want to be staring at in the face. One quick thing to note, some systems to have a strobe, you once again would cycle through your modes for that. That's fine if you know well in advance you need a strobe, and you can debate amongst yourselves whether or not there is actually a need or effectiveness to having a strobe light for defensive scenarios, etc. But one thing is for sure, if you were on a system where you have to click through all the little modes, you certainly wouldn't be getting that strobe deployed anytime soon. Whereas on this system, it's on, you hold it down, it is on just like that. So in terms of deployment, very fast to deploy because it is a separate button. Now one more special mode, if we hold this down again, I've gone into a 60 lumen SOS mode that you could clip to yourself in times of emergency and try to get yourself rescued, or perhaps keep track of a friend that you've left behind while you go to get help. So always nice to have an SOS mode, and it's on that half brightness from the strobe, so the battery time should be longer on that. Very cool. Let's talk about some other stats that they have listed while we're on the subject. It is impact resistant up to 1 meter. This feels pretty sturdy to me, so I'd say yeah, it can take a tumble. I've certainly dropped it from some lower heights, and it survives. It's IPX-8, which is a rating for water resistance. It's actually the highest rating for water resistance. In their case on the package, it says that it is good for up to 2 meters under water. Now we can see if that's true. Right now, it does appear to still be lit. Now I'm not going to sit around here for hours on end and wait for this thing to fail, but I'm saying it is still working, and I would trust it would continue to do so. It's got some pretty decent O-rings in there that are keeping things nice and sealed up, and as you can see, still ticking. Let's get this thing dried off. Alright, now where were we? Yes, stats we're going through. Well, let's talk about accessories real quick. It does come with some accessories. Alright, you're going to get this little pouch in case you don't want it in your pocket. It does come with this nice pouch. Put it on the side of your belt and you're good to go. Nice quick access. Remember I said that because that clip is so nice and strong, it's not the speediest thing in and out of a pocket. You put it on here, you're going to have a whole nother means of quick access to it. So that is nice that they throw that in. Appreciate that. Comes with a couple spare O-rings, which, going back to water resistance, is nice. So if you feel you need to replace the O-rings, you can do so. Get 2 of those. And it comes with a lanyard. So if you would like that added security, go ahead and pop that on there. There's actually a little slot on the clip there that I've found works pretty nicely for attaching it. And now you can either tether it to something else or just have that around your wrist, whatever your preference is. That's the accessories. As I always do in these videos, let's just go through weight real quick. For those of you who backpack and are obsessed with weight, let's weigh it. First I'm going to take the battery out. 1.829, so about 1.8 ounces, or in grams. For those of you gram counters, looking at 51.8 grams. Throw a battery into the mix. This is an alkaline. You got 73.3 grams, or 2.58 ounces. And of course, if you use a lithium battery, those actually are fractionally lighter, so you'll get a little bit lower weights. But you're looking at around, with a battery, 2.5 ounces. Alright, for those of you ultralight backpackers out there, yeah, you can get crazier, you can get lighter than that, but for something robust that's gonna go underwater, take a beating, be grippable, hey, 2.5 ounces is fine with me. Because believe me, you accidentally do a stream crossing and realize that your flashlight was in your pocket the whole time, you're going to be glad that you were carrying something that actually is designed to take a little bit of abuse. Speaking of batteries and weights and walking around through streams, let's talk about something else real quick. For longer term storage, if you're afraid of it accidentally deploying and wasting battery life, you can just give it a slight little turn and that will disengage the battery. Now it will not come on, and when we twist it back, you see that the power is restored and you can go back to doing your normal operations. So that's nice. One other thing about the button, and you see it is a nice grippy button. They're all about grippiness on these. It is nice checkered, and it does a momentary on without a full click. See, this will be a full click. I think you can figure that out. You can momentarily pop it on, off, on, off. You also notice that it is a nice shape, and you can take this clip off, and it is weapon mountable. Now, Fenix makes other lights that are more specifically tailored. This isn't actually, I believe, listed in their tactical line. But with the right rings and whatnot, you could easily slap this onto a weapon system, and you have your momentary on and off if that's important to you as well, plus a strobe. You got a lot of nice features there for that sort of thing as well. Me personally, I'm just using it mostly for the things I already listed, which brings me to my final thoughts. I'm really digging this light. It is, for what you get, great price point. Prices change all the time. You can probably get this, let's just say, around 40 to 50 bucks. So it's right just above what I call your entry-level serious flashlight. Yeah, you can go buy a $10 flashlight, but there's no way it's going to do all these things. So based on the price point, I'm really loving this light. I'm glad I got it. I carry it. I would say I carry it every day, but sometimes when I'm at work in more business attire, I have switched over to using more of a pen light because I just don't want to look like, you know, I'm ready to kick down anybody's door and start strobing them while I'm walking around trying to, you know, do my spreadsheets. But I have carried it in those conditions. It's fine. But I'd say I carry it probably 75% of the time anywhere outside of work. I always take this on my backpacking trips. Took it on hunting trip. Or hunting trips, both in Pennsylvania and in Delaware. Works great, clips to the outside of the pack, can get rained on, it's all good, throws out just enough light. So I will definitely be sticking with this light. Now, I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I always love new products to try out and whatnot, but this is definitely staying in the arsenal. Certainly recommended if you're ready to get yourself a nicer flashlight for both everyday carry, or if you're somebody who is weight concerned like me, something that has some good features but won't weigh like half a pound when you're out there on the trail trying to crank out those miles.
Miles.
Until next time, I'm Sintax77. Have fun out there.